Well, good morning. Good morning,
Hey,
Good
everyone.
morning, everyone. How are you guys
good
doing?
morning.
Okay. Hey, we've had Roman. You have been displaced with the Oregon fires for a while now. Share with us what happened to you, and you're on your way home now, right?
Yeah, we just the air quality was so bad that my wife and I had already coughing issues. I still have coughing issues. The dog were sneezing all the time, so it was really not a healthy environment. So basically, what we did is we took the opportunity, since we are full-time RVers, and went down to Phoenix pick up our stuff. So um, this is where we're at. Behind
Ah,
me, I'm dragging my carrier. And so,
Your
yeah, we
suitcase.
picked up our stuff in Phoenix, and we're traveling back to Oregon. Now we are in where are we? In
In North
Burns,
America.
Burns,
Yeah.
Oregon. Yep,
Okay.
Burns, Oregon. And now we have another about 6 hours drive to get to Eugene, get rid of our stuff.
okay. All right. Well, everyone, I was during the time while he was gone. I'm in Las Cruces now. Hey, Roman, we can hear you breathing. That
You're
issue
blowing
with,
your mic.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're blowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so I tried to convince him that he needs to move to Las Cruces, and he said that he would be more than happy to do that.
No, I didn't say
It,
that.
I know, no, but we really would. But you know what? Gaetan said that he would. He
Well,
would.
I said work. If there's enough work to justify me to get there, I'll get there.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah.
today's show, everyone, is about how the outdated alpha dominance theory it ruins the human-dog relationship. And you've done a lot of research on this, haven't you, Roman? Where I think that what happens is people are told that you need to be the alpha one, you need to be the alpha in your family, otherwise your dog is going to take advantage of you. And if you don't do that, all of a sudden your dog is going to be aggressive and all of these issues. And I've read so much on it that you shared with me that people are being given this information by dog trainers. So let's let's dispute this myth about being the alpha dog.
So there was a theory, alpha theory. There was a Swiss Schenkel in the 1930s. They did research on how animals function in captivity. So Rudolf Schenkel was a Swiss behaviorist. So he went to the zoo where all the lions and the wolves are and started observing animals in captivity. In other words, it's kind of like being in New York and observing humanity in an elevator on in
Madison
an
Avenue.
Madison Avenue and stop the elevator. No one of them has a glass of water, coffee, or a phone. And then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
observe them for a day and see how they behave. And then you make an assumptions out of that, how humanity functions in the world. Okay. Now, the 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 observations in the zoo of animals in captivity that are in small cages and really not healthy environments back then um, came to the conclusion that the one who is the strongest one, or the one who fights most about his food and has this aggressive behavior towards the others, is the one who leads.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Now, they use the term alpha from a breeding term. The alpha male and the alpha female were the breeding pair, and took that word into the equation, says this is the alpha because he's handling all the group. But back then we didn't know better about animals. We didn't have MRIs. We didn't have, the observations we have now in realities. So this idea went into from the 1930s and moved on. At some point, Dr. Mech, basically, who was hired by the Department of Agriculture to give wolves in captivity a better chance of survival. So he went there and studied them in basically in captivity environment. He came to similar conclusions. Well, if the dog wolves are there together and the one is the strongest one, he takes over the group and that's it. Now, that's kind of simplified. Now, something didn't add up because many people who had observed wolves says, no, they're not doing like that. So what he did, he went for 4 years and studied wolves in free environment.
Mhm.
the same person who talked about the alpha theory, and said, man, he said, I was wrong. My idea of how wolves work in captivity is nothing similar to how they work in family systems.
Hmm.
The wolves don't have that system. They have a family system. And so taking the conclusion of wolves in captivity equals dog in a home is totally wrong.
Hmm.
So the trainers basically who captured the first idea um, took the idea and went to the next step.
Oops,
Whoops.
we lost Roman.
We lost Roman. Oh, well, while he's gone, I'm going to share his website in which he wanted us to know about. What he's really saying is that the wolves that are in a pack, they respect each other. Oh,
Hmm.
wait, he's back on again. There we go. Okay,
Oops,
we started
Good.
sharing your website while you were gone.
you're blowing the mic. Yeah, you're blowing your mic. Just pull it up a little bit. Your mic, Roman. Can you
Is
hear
it
us?
is it me who has a bad connection or is it everyone?
No, it's
No,
you.
it's you.
Only you. You're only.
Okay.
You're the only one with a bad
Yeah,
camera, and you're still blowing in your microphone. So if you can tilt the microphone up,
L-
can you hear us? Yes, like that. Perfect.
Better.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, am I breaking up when I talk? Like I hear
No,
oh
you guys
no, no,
always
you were
breaking up.
fine, and then we have a blackout. So
Oh, okay.
when you
So
talk like right now, you're clear and pretty to
yeah,
watch. Acceptable. Acceptable feature in your
yeah,
face.
right. Okay, so
so
we went to
Well,
your page so that we can talk about what you were talking about with the wolves.
yeah, you
okay.
were you
So
were
from
relating.
there,
Yeah, the part where we
okay.
lost
So
you.
from where?
Oops, we lost them. Okay.
Yeah, looks like we're going
Uh,
to be losing him quite a bit. So,
okay. So sorry, technology.
yeah,
He did not have the 5G network there or a
yeah,
5G phone at this hour,
yeah,
but maybe next
exactly.
week. Who knows? Um, my understanding about the alpha uh, dog or alpha wolf in the wild, it's not like a constant. There's change in the interaction between the wolf as they evolve and as the situation change.
Right.
It's not like, oh, this guy is the alpha, he's the alpha forever. It's not the case. It might be an alpha in a situation where he has a role of a leader, but it's not because he's a leader in one situation that is running everything in the pack all the
Ex-
time.
right. And what happens with a lot of people, uh, they'll hear things like, well, you need to train your dog, you need to get them an e-collar or a shock collar, or you need to get them things in order to keep them under control. And that's not really the natural evolution. What Roman is really suggesting is we work with these animals so that we can get their trust,
Hmm.
and we learn what their behavior is. Here comes Roman again. Okay, we
What
got
did
you
I
again.
miss?
We just were talking about that. What your theory is, that rather than telling people to get shock collars and do things that control their dogs, it's more of an issue of learning what the dog's behavior is and learning who they are and what they need, and then working with that. That's how you maintain the relationship, not by trying to dominate them.
Right. So, going back to the main idea, when the monks of Skid, I think it was 78, got out with their book, How to Raise the Perfect Dog, kind of thing. They took that idea and says, well, we're gonna treat dogs like wolves do, not recognizing that there are 800 million free roaming dogs who are a good example of how to do that.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay, so we're not looking at the dogs who we have in front of us. We're looking at the wolves based on a study of the 1930s where we had no clue.
Hmm.
Meantime, that study was basically rejected as wrong by them who did it, actually. Right? So the people said, I'm sorry, I was wrong with my theory. But this continued, even though those people who created that theory asked the publisher to reject those bookings and not publishing it again, and they continue publishing the wrong idea.
Mhm.
So the Monaco Skid went to the next level, and they basically physically did what they thought the wolves would do or dogs would do to their animals, and come up with their own theories. Like, if the mother wants to reprimand their puppy, she takes it by the scruff and scruff it like this. That's not
Yeah.
happening. Okay, there's a family hierarchy there. Yes, of course. It's not the dominance hierarchy. It's a matriarchic system where the mother is controlling the offspring because we create a secure attachment bond because
Mhm.
of the feeding practices. So we have the first imprinting, and the first imprinting basically continues as a family as the puppies are adult enough to experience themselves with their litter mates. And then in the
Okay.
meantime, there is a second generation coming in. And so the second generation observes the first generation, and the first generation observes the parenting of the second generation. So we have a complete closed family loop. So each one observes each other, how mothers treat their puppies and how puppies are treated by their siblings. So it's an educational level here.
Yep.
Right.
Now, nobody was talking about that. All we says is dogs are here to be controlled by humanity, and God brought animals to be serving the humanity, and that was
Dominated.
it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? And then we took that idea and become kind of a patriarchic system which says people have to control dogs. Wow, that's a white fetch.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, because a family oriented system is not good enough. We have to put ourselves on top of that hierarchy by force. And if the dog doesn't comply, then you can put him on his back and you force him down, right? Because that's what mummies do. No, they don't. Just because you say mummies do, it's not the reality. There is no
Right.
Yeah.
scientific evidence that mummies do that, because they don't. Wolves
Mhm.
don't do it. Apes don't do it. Cows don't do it. There is no animal who actually does it.
Well, who came up with that then?
Well, that's a good question. I want to
I
meet
mean,
this
why are
guy.
we following advice that nobody believes
back,
in?
I mean, I understand back then we didn't have internet.
Right.
Back then we say, these are clericals, they are monks. Well, they're people of God. They know things, right? They make things based on God's word, and they just took it to the next level. I'm not accusing them. It's not my business. However, I'm just saying where it's coming from. And still today, the monks of Skid in their facilities do shock collar training.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. They have
Oh,
actually workshops there. And I don't understand why we do that. Because
yeah.
if they're going according to what they call what mummies do, I haven't seen a dog, a wolf, or the dog mom walking around with a shock collar training her puppies. Come
Yeah.
on. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
No.
Right?
No.
So back then, for 40,000 years, we would do just fine with dogs, without batteries, without
Hmm.
chargers, without prong
Right.
collars. And
Mhm.
actually, back then, I have to admit, there were prong collars, but the prong collars were facing outwards to protect the dogs who are guardians for being attacked by the wolves and be killed by the neck.
Well,
But
that
we were
makes
smart
sense.
about it.
Yeah.
We turn it
Yeah.
inwards,
Right.
because you know what? It feels like somebody attacks you on the neck.
Yeah.
And so you apply dominance, forceful, intimidation, and fear to control your dog. He will follow you anyway if you have a secure attachment relationship.
Right. Right.
Why would you have to use force for it? And so
Exactly.
this dominance theory and the alpha theory basically, and don't take me wrong, I had a conversation yesterday talking with people about because of one of my posts, um, and they say, well, it's nothing wrong using the term alpha. No, not at
I
all. It's
saw
nothing
that, and the guy
wrong with
was
it.
arguing with you about it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with using that term, because that term, correctly used, is referring to a breeding pair.
Mhm.
But putting yourself as an alpha, it's kind of like, um, let's say, an ethical issue, because you don't look like a dog, you don't behave like a dog, you
You're
haven't
not a
had
dog.
intimate
Yeah.
interaction with a female dog to make you
Hmm.
the parent, the physical parent. So you're not a breeding partner.
Mhm.
So
Right.
you're not the alpha. You are a guardian. What does guardian mean? Guardian mean
Protect.
is you care for beings that
Hmm.
cannot do themselves.
Mhm.
So you're a guardian of your dog. You have responsibility. You have a legal responsibility to that. And so you're putting yourself in that position of being the alpha alone.
Right.
It's not. However, I'm not stretching it too far, because some people have the idea of an alpha of being the parent. They just don't like the idea of calling it parent because they're not human children,
Right.
they're animals. So there's a blockage there, which I say, fine,
Mhm.
use the term guardian then, which is legally correct, which is
Mhm.
ethically correct, and doesn't call you a human parent to an animal dog. And so it actually feels appropriate to my side. And we have to kind of shift that mindset of being the alpha into being the parent
Mhm.
or being the guardian,
Or the
Hmm.
with all the
companion.
responsibilities that come in. Because
Mhm.
most people who use the term alpha expect the dog to be compliant because
Right.
I'm the
It's
alpha, right?
associated, so it's probably just associated in the wrong way.
Yep.
Exactly, exactly. So being the alpha or being the guardian doesn't come in with an obligation of the dog to follow you. If you haven't established a secure attachment relationship, if you don't make any sense to your dog, why would your dog follow instructions from you? You don't make any sense.
Mhm.
Hmm.
If you're scared and you ask your dog to sit while he can take care of business, why would he listen to you?
Yeah.
I, I
Right.
would I would like to come back to a point you mentioned, where the relationship between, I would call that, parents, grandparents, and puppies, and there's a continuous interaction of learning process between
Correct.
them, and a human come and jump in the middle and say, "Hey, now it's me. Follow my direction, my
Mhm.
orders, my way of thinking," and it's hell, me or the, how you say
Yeah.
that in English?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Me or the dog. Um,
yeah.
I would say we have to see, and I don't want to sound rash here, but a regular family system of dogs is a
Mm-hmm.
size of 3 to 13 dogs in free environment,
Mm-hmm.
and usually they are family and close relatives. Sometimes we have new dogs coming in because they joined the team because of safety, nutrients, and um, access to resources. Depending on how easy the resources are, this group splits up in smaller groups to secure food.
Hmm.
Um, they get in disputes. They solve disputes because they
Yeah,
have these
like
troubleshooting skills. They learn
Mm-hmm.
from observing the adults dealing with it. And then we have family code of conduct. So if we see a family of dogs, they have family code of conduct. This is regulated by the parents, and everybody has to comply to it. And at some age between 12 and 14 months, where the young dogs start becoming adults and have their own idea of how to do things, they have
are
an
those
option.
like the teenage years in human
Yeah, yeah,
for a
yeah,
dog?
yeah.
Yeah, where they
So the
you get the
female is
troublesome
is
twos. Yeah.
right. So they're ready to go into heat, and some of them already are in heat twice the second time. But then they have to make a choice: do I stay with the family, or do I go to create my own family? And so we see a disconnect between week 12 and 14, and this is where most people struggling, because the dog disassociates from the family, wants to disconnect, and we don't have morals and ethics in place, and then we use force to control those dogs, which actually hits backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay.
Make
So
sense?
yeah,
it's
that does. It
it's a
makes great
natural instinct for
sense.
the dog to disconnect. Like
Yeah.
kids do that too. They want to create their own family. Mother says this, and they're like, I know, and then they don't know, right?
Is that why grandparents always sit and wait for their kids to call them and come home and they never do because they're
Yes,
too busy? Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we have the same
Oh
issue with
gosh, I'd love to
humans,
come and see you, but I'm too busy.
right? Right.
Yeah. And then
Um,
after they die, oh no. Yeah.
oops, I missed them.
Yeah.
Um, and so when we take dogs away from their parents, we're not going in between. We cut the family apart. So the most vulnerable time between 8 and 12 and 14 weeks, where your dog starts creating those secure bonds, is that creating his breed traits between week 12 and 14, where all the triggers are being triggered. If it's a hunting dog or a guardian breed, these genetic factors being activated. We don't have regulations. We're just playing with the dog. Oh, he's
Mm.
biting me. Oh, it's fine. We have fun. We recommend the dog. We do all these human things that has nothing to do with the dog. And then
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
those triggers are being switched on. And then we lose control of the dog week 12, 14, 16, 17. And all of a sudden, my dog is a shark and bites everyone. And then we use spray bottles and shaker
Right.
cans, and chains and whatever. And then become violent on the dog, make us the violent person.
Right. Right.
trigger the dog that people are aggressive, people will do things to you without control, they will pick you up, they will take things away from your mouth. You know what? You want to keep it, you have to bite for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true.
So
Yeah.
we create that vicious circle. And then these dogs end up in a shelter, and you know how that looks like, Kathy, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
we blame the dog, or we say humans are stupid, they shouldn't have dogs, they shouldn't breed
Well,
dogs.
that's a true statement, though. I
Right,
think that a lot
correct.
of people that have dogs should not have them, if they
But you
don't
know what?
realize the
There is lack of
responsibility.
there is so much lack of knowledge, of
Of
education.
course. Of
So it's
course.
not the people's fault, it's because there is no system in place to help them being educated. I remember in school, and because I'm from Europe, in Austria, we have this education. You don't go to a stranger's dog and ask to be petted. What are you
Hmm.
talking about? Like, how does it feel like if somebody comes up to you, oh my God, the child is so cute, can I pet it? And you're
Yeah.
like, weird.
Yeah.
We say the
Yeah.
same thing in Europe. You come up to me and want to pet my dog? Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But here in US, suddenly it's okay. You have kids running up the street, running across the street without checking the traffic, attacking your dog to get petted, and you have to struggle with it. And if your
Hmm.
dog makes a mistake and feels threatened or attacked by the child and attacks the child in return, your dog is going to jail.
Yeah, and that's a very good point too, because there can be a service dog that clearly has a vest on that says "Do not touch" or "In training" or "Service dog," and they still will say, "Can I pet your dog?" And no, no. I clearly have the sign on there for a reason. The dog is
Yeah.
working, and while the dog is working, it doesn't socialize.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you say no, you're rude.
Yeah. Oh, right. You're
How
rude.
dare you? Like,
Yeah.
I want to pet your dog. That's
Yeah,
it.
my
You have
daughter
be
wants
pet.
to pet your. I've seen things where people have actually broken out in videos that people have taped because they get so irate over the fact that you didn't let me pet your dog. My child didn't get to pet your dog. Well, while we're on this subject here, this is something that I found that I thought we could address. It says. The dominance theory that you had said, an outdated idea that harms our dogs. Where did it come from and why does it persist? You went over that already, Roman. But here's a woman that says she had that somebody had posted, "My dog is barking at the neighbor's puppy and the neighbors are complaining." Apparently the woman got over 300 comments and many of them were from dog trainers, and they would say things like, "Get an e-collar, socialize your dog with the neighborhood dog, move your house, run outside and shout no at the dog and when the dog barks." And all of this advice came from dog trainers. So my question is, what kind of a dog trainer is going to give that information?
Well, let's look at the legal factor. You pay me $150.
Yeah.
And I certify you as a dog trainer right now on the spot. You want to do it? It's legally appropriate.
Really?
There's no regulations
With
that
no
tells me
no training?
no training. I just call you a dog
really?
trainer. You just print cards, and you say you are a certified dog trainer, and I'm certifying you.
Huh. Okay,
That's
so that's like being a reverend by
exactly.
getting to be a reverend online. Rent a rev.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, however, the industry is difficult to be regulated because we have no clear clarification what animal abuse is. Now, there are two parties of groups of training organizations. The one that says, well, the trainer should have the choice, the tools that he wants to use that are in the minimum force necessary to get the job done.
Okay.
And it's on the dog trainer's discretion what tools it would be.
Huh.
Okay. If he assesses the situation wrong or right, that's not in question. He's supposed to know it, but really there's no functional system to control that. As long as our organization approves that you're a certified dog trainer, you can do whatever you want. You can come to us, and we're making sure that you kind of like being covered because we are a legit organization. But that organization itself is not regulated by the government, like the doctor would be or the lawyer.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
The government says, well, there's a legality here. So the one group says, well, you can use your shock collar. It's a minimum level, just, to get the job done because you need to make money and the dogs need to be trained. And then there is the other group that says no force
Hmm.
because it's inappropriate. It's against.
Excuse me.
That's fine.
Sorry.
And though we have to clarify first what is abuse. What is an emotional abuse towards the animal? And so these people come from that direction. Says, well, there are clear factors. We know from science that if you create stress to your dog, that's already stressful to your dog. The dog goes into survival mode, and that causes the dog to be scared and fearful. His blood levels will change, and all these chemicals are being assessed, and we can see based on those factors that a dog is in distress. And we know that from scientific evidence, and I think in my document there is a lot of references to that as well. We see that even if I question the dog, what did you do? Did you get in trouble? That stresses the dog out because he has no clue what did wrong. Because dogs
Mhm.
wants to be perfect. Dog
Right.
wants to be right because otherwise his family would outcast him. He has this
Yeah.
internal fear, and we push that button, makes us busy being abusive.
Right.
And then we says,
Right.
you know what? If you don't slap your child on your fingers, you will never get it done. Well, is that how we do it now? Is it
Yeah.
okay for teachers to slap the kids in their face, on their hands, or pull their ears or the hair? No. But back in the past, it was okay. Now it's not. Why
In
is
the
that?
50s, yeah.
Right? Well, we're
Right.
using training methods that are done in the 30s, not in the
Mhm.
50s.
Right.
And now we're still okay
I'm
with the
young.
past, but it's not.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I know from a textbook, I don't remember exactly, from an ancient Greek philosopher who actually explains how the proper way to handle horses and animals and dogs. And it says very clear, you handle them as you would handle animals, you will handle people. So
Mhm.
they put the animals and people at the same level, how you
Yep.
handle them.
hmm
So back then, 3,000 years ago, we knew how to do that. And all of a sudden, the last 60 years, we forgot about it.
Right. Right.
How did
Yeah.
that happen?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to. This is
So
off topic.
yeah.
What? This is off topic now, but I wanted to share this, and Gaetan had sent it to me the other day. And this is about the 17 French bulldogs that ended up at O'Hare. They came in from a foreign country, and now they're getting citations. Our associate here in Las Cruces, Julian, who is with Pet Rescue Pilots, he had offered to go to Chicago to pick up the dogs and to transport them to a safe location. But I thought maybe we'd look at this just for a second to talk about what really happened here. So listen here.
Against a cargo company that shipped dogs that were found at O'Hare. Last month, officers found 17 French bulldogs that were shipped to Chicago from Jordan and left in cages for 3 days. They were covered in feces. They were without food or water. One of the dogs had died. The cargo company has been charged with 17 counts of animal neglect and one that led to death. All of the surviving dogs are being treated now at private shelters.
Now that is sad, very, very sad. When something like that happens, the question is. Oh, by the way, the company from the international company has decided they don't want to give up the dogs. They still want to take ownership of them. And now it becomes an issue of animal abuse. When things like this happen, and hoarding and all of that, where does this all come from? What is this a greed thing? Is this money? Is let's get dogs in here illegally? What's the purpose? There's so many dogs that don't have homes. Go
3
ahead.
words. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
It's not my job. I don't care. It's not my responsibility. It's dropping the ball on living beings,
Yeah.
and it's ignoring whoever put the dog there in a warehouse and close the door and turn around and didn't tell anybody or didn't mind doing anything about it. It's criminal.
It is. What's your opinion on this, Roman? This kind of behavior from people?
Well, I have experienced at different levels. A, I was in Middle East countries. B, I transported my dogs from Europe to US. I am in rescue, or I was in rescue, and do training. I do meet people who are hoarding. I met people who are rescuers who are hoarding. I met people who are rescuers hoarding and abusing animals. in 3 counts deaths and 7 dogs neglect and abuse. And I see this and I was like, there's literally something wrong here. The first one, we have to see the need of people of cute dogs. There is a market, and then there is a service around that. Well, in
Right.
Jordan, we have a breeder who found somebody in Europe to bring those dogs, or in US to bring those dogs over. So we have the seller and we have the buyer, and then we have the transporter. Now,
Right.
I'm not blaming the seller and I'm not blaming the buyer. For now, we're looking at the transporter because the transporter is responsible to move things from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So how did these animals end up in a facility with no regulations? They're animals. They have to be controlled by authorities that are responsible for animal transport. They have to comply to certain rules that are in place. So no matter where the country, that is Jordan, Egypt, France, America, there are regulations there, so they're being bypassed. And I know how that usually goes. A paper would be transported over there. Here's sign it up here, and it just goes. Nobody goes there. He gets an extra bucks in his pocket. So there is kind of illegalities going on. Again, the dogs are in between. Now, if a person who arranged that transport still wants to take ownership of those dogs, I don't feel this is a wrong thing to do, because he wants to help those dogs, or he wants to take care of those dogs. He was not responsible for the transport. He trusted the transport. Make sense? That's
Right. Yeah.
my understanding right now, seeing it as a transporter, because at some point in the past I used to do transports as well. And so we have to clarify who hired the transporter, who was responsible for the transport, who was responsible for observation that transport, and what happened if those dogs weren't transported. And I know people who get dogs transported from Europe and lose those dogs in the transport because of the air companies. Nobody, well, the package was shipped somewhere wrong. Well, somewhere in Chicago, or no, it's in New Jersey. Oh, wait a minute, I think it's in Dallas. Let me find out for you. Third
Right.
day, because the weekend was there, nobody picked up the phone. The dogs are starving in the kennel.
Yeah,
Right.
the other point in that connection is the receiving end. What happened to the receiving end? No comment, no question, no ask for
Right.
3 days.
So I think we should be very careful to judge that particular case, because we don't see the whole picture.
Hmm.
It could be that these dogs being rescued by a rescue out of the country, and that rescue basically steps away from it because they lose control of it.
Right. Yeah.
Or the other
Yeah.
one, it's a dealer who basically deals with
Yeah.
cute Francis and wants to make money out of it, because in US right now the market of Francis is very low because of COVID. Everybody wants a dog, and now we have a need. So
Right.
we
Right.
import dogs from outsourced, like we do it from Mexico, from other countries. We just import dogs because there's so much need.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
So
my understanding from the other news report in the same topic. They were how do you call that, pure breed,
mhm.
and they were destined to the market for high price tag, like $2,000 a piece and something like that.
Yeah, that
Uh,
makes sense then. So he wants his money back because people want their dogs.
mhm.
Well, it's my
Yeah.
cargo. I want it. It's my item. And that's again a legal issue, because the dog is still considered a property.
Yep, that's a case. Exactly the core of the conversation. It's mine. I
Right.
own it.
Right.
Well,
I
here's
paid
a
for it. It's mine.
suggestion. Here's a suggestion. How about next week we talk about the ramifications that can occur with people hoarding dogs, from medical issues to, I mean, they think that they're doing a wonderful job and a great thing by keeping them all together. There's one that I saw the other day that it said here that 90 dogs were found inside a home, and this was in the Phoenix area. And
in a 900 square foot house. Like
700 square foot. 700 square foot, yeah. And you think to yourself, and the woman didn't see anything wrong with that. So I think that hoarding, not only from a standpoint of cleanliness, but hoarding of animals is a real mental issue.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I cannot answer those questions about the mental issues, because I think somebody who is a psychologist will be better
Maybe
advised
we
to
can
do
get
that.
somebody on to do that.
Yeah, of course. But I can see, I can help out with the trauma that causes dogs who are in hoarding situations.
Okay, that'd be
And
great.
what will happen if those dogs being rescued and split apart and being rehomed to different places? What's going to happen next? I think I can help you with that.
Okay, that'd be great.
I came across some images of dog rescued from a hoarding situation or a semi-abandoned or abandoned. And some images are so bad, it's looked like a horror show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
correct.
does.
I don't know if I bring some of this picture.
Yes, yes. Let's talk the reality of it. Yeah.
And put like a warning: beware. What you're going to see is
Okay.
bloody
I met
and horrible.
rescues who are hoarding dogs,
Mhm.
and it's a financial issue. So they get a
Yeah.
certain amount donations per dog. The more drama behind that dog, the more donations come in.
Yeah. Well,
And
look at
then,
puppy mills too.
right, we're hoarding the dogs. We get more money per dog than we pay per dog for kenneling. And so
Mhm.
they hire subcontractors to kennel those dogs in really miserable situations. I know a facility in a rescue in Connecticut. I don't want to call any names yet, but it's official. So there are judges applied for a rescue who took multiple millions over from people from donations, and then
Hmm.
basically was hoarding dogs who were very aggressive. Then they couldn't get rid of them, so they basically died
Yeah.
in
Oh, that's
rescue.
sad.
And that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, okay. That was a great show. Thank you very much, everyone. And there's Kelly. She says
Hi,
hi.
Kelly.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to next week's show, and we will see you then.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you,
Bye
Roman.
bye.
Thank you, Kathy.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Tell your friends, share the link.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.